You probably don't know who Flo Barnett is, and that's not surprising given the amount of money that's gone into scrubbing this one. But you might have heard of her daughter. You see, Mary Florence Barnett is the deceased mother-in-law of Scientology's own supreme leader, David Miscavige. A longtime member of the Church of Scientology herself, she'd recently broken away from the organization to begin her practices with one of the people that helped old L. Ron himself create the belief system. I'm not entirely positive on the reasoning behind Flo's leaving, though these people do some out there shit, so who knows. I'm limiting myself to one tinfoil hat moment in this video, and we're not there yet. Just a week before her death, Flo threatened her son-in-law with a lawsuit and claimed she'd be bringing the church to court. Now, again, I don't want to speculate much on this, so I'll just say I'm unsure as to what the suit was, though Scientology's pretty good at giving decent reasons for having to go to court, and now that I think about it, they're pretty good at bringing people to court too. So, if this video actually goes anywheres, David, I would absolutely love to have a conversation with you in front of a judge. Anyways, as we're about to see, that probably wasn't the best idea on Flo's part. On the morning of September 8th, 1985, Flo's husband James was startled after hearing a gunshot. The reports say, or at least the reports that I was able to get say, he only heard one shot, but that could just be hearsay, or it could be misquote, or he was full of shit in the first place. I don't know. He rushed to his wife and found her laying on the bed, bleeding from the chest and head with a .22 Ruger rifle sitting next to her. To break this one down, we're actually going to take a look at her autopsy report together. Links for this will be in the description. She'd been shot 3 times in the left breast, all 3 shots through and through, with a trajectory of front to back, 45 degrees upward and 45 degrees right to left. Despite fracturing several ribs and hitting several vital areas, including her left lung and left thorax, some people, mainly the investigators in the coroner that wrote this report, would like us to believe that this 52-year-old, 5'3" frail woman who just gotten out of the hospital from an aneurysm, then shot herself in the right temple at a flat trajectory, exiting through her left temple. So the elephant in the room is that police found a 5th spent cartridge on the floor, and she'd only had 4 bullet wounds. I don't think she took a test shot through the window to make sure the gun worked, but whatever. This lady had to prop the gun on the ground and up at a 45-degree angle, and then leaned into the barrel to reach the trigger and shoot herself. Each going through skin, fat, and muscle, fracturing several ribs in several locations, but entering through the 6th and 8th, where it then breached into the thoracic cavity. For those of you like me who weren't born knowing what that is, it's fancy wording for the area of your chest wall that protects your vital cardiovascular and respiratory organs. 2 bullets went through her left lung, 1 deviated slightly and actually went through her breast implant. All 3 exited out through her upper back. The investigation's findings would then have us believe that this frail, basically bedridden as is lady with a broken rib, popped boob, and lung filling with blood then had the strength to take a 1-armed shot completely leveled in one temple and out the other. I'm gonna hold on to a few details that the coroner seemed to think weren't very important for now, but we'll move on. Naturally, her husband being the one to find her, paired with the amount of shots she took, he was immediately law enforcement's primary suspect. But that fell through. Of course it did. Of course it fucking fell through. There isn't very much information out there on Flo Barnett, so there seems to be even less on her husband, that I could find at least. But allegedly he did tell a cop that her passing in the manner she did was a sign from L. Ron Hubbard himself that he needed to regain faith with the church. I swear to Xenu I'm trying not to laugh, but this shit is beyond bonkers. There were 2 game over notes on the bedside table, one addressed to her husband and the other addressed to one of her daughters. I don't know which, but both were dated on the 6th, 2 days prior. Don't know if that has any correlation or maybe she got delayed or something. Both her husband and one of her daughters said that the handwriting on the notes matched hers. However, they're both Scientologists. They actually had a lifelong friend of hers not too far away that contacted the police, and when she was shown the notes, she swore up and down that they didn't match her handwriting. Now, I haven't seen the notes themselves nor handwriting examples of hers, but there's several more people than just the neighbors that have mentioned that they don't match up. But whatever, we're gonna move on. The autopsy report also states that she had several day old hesitation marks on both wrists, or cuts for people that don't frequent 80s era autopsy reports. And are you ready for the kicker? 2 puncture wounds on her neck. One was aggravated, which I'm assuming means the skin was irritated. Now, the coroner attributed this to therapy, but when her husband was asked by police and the coroner himself, he was reported to saying that for all the time him and Flo had been married, she was terrified of needles. So, yeah, I think we're getting a little bit closer to something here. And given the narrative we've been provided, I do have to say I'm curious as to why she would have chosen such a violent death when she had plenty of pills capable of getting the job done right next to her. Like, she had narcos, she had blood thinners, she had a lot of stuff that could have gotten the job done. And from a statistical standpoint, though I'm sure plenty of women unalive themselves via firearms, it's much more common for an overdose, especially when they have very easy access to it. Like, they're already prescribed the medication and it's right next to them, but somehow they decide to shoot themselves 4 times. And going back to the needle marks, I don't know if there's any tomfoolery going on with that, but I don't want to die, so I'm going to say she probably got over it. Anyways, let's move on and see how the family felt. When approached by law enforcement, her daughter Michelle stated that her mom hadn't been the same since her surgery and believed that leaving the Church of Scientology, along with associating herself with enemies of the church, had plunged her into a depression. And then she followed that up with stating, "I'm not surprised she's dead. People that get excommunicated from the church usually only have 1 foot left in life anyways." She said that to a cop. I don't know if that cop was looking for an admission of guilt, but yikes. Another daughter, a leader of Scientology's Sea Org. Yeah, in true cult fashion, the entire family's wrapped up in this shit. She stated that she also wasn't surprised and almost gave the exact same statement, except she mentioned that her mom did not like guns and that she didn't even know she owned one. David Miscavige, on the other hand, had plenty of colorful things to say about Flo's passing. Like, and I quote, "The bitch got what she deserved, and she died when she betrayed the church." Yeah, that's not odd or incriminating at all to say. It's not like you're the head of a giant cult that has a reputation for making people disappear. And with that in mind, specifically the disappearing part, I'm gonna stop talking about her before I have to send a few souls back to Xenu.